muddy as hell. Kobe is stopping getting a pressure wash. This is an exciting day for Kobe Durango Kid. Maz doing a little chain work. And I don't think we've seen Keegan roll through, so he must have stopped. Well, there's Keegan as well. Everyone is stopping, which was not the plan for Keegan, but it looks like he's making his decision to get very fast. And there goes Team Specialized. Kobe looked over his shoulder. Sorry, I can't cheer. Oh my gosh, they are going. And if Kobe doesn't work, I was told that Team Specialized will in fact make him work, and I sadly don't doubt that because, I mean, this is a big race for him. I mean, he doesn't really. I mean, he's done some gravel, and obviously he's quite fast, but this is new to be in the break with two extremely talented, extremely fast, experienced racers, and this is a ride of a lifetime for him. This is a big deal. It went from organized chaos to a little bit of calm before, I would say, the real storm, metaphorically and literally hits. I said earlier, we saw a couple lightning bolts, so if you don't see me on screen, it's because I failed, because I don't need to be doing this. But it is starting to rain a little bit, and it's pretty crazy if we can get a shot of the helicopter kind of hovering above the field behind you, Ed, if you want to. Okay, we can't. Sorry. Just take my word from it. The helicopter looks like it's a couple inches above the field, but they're just waiting for these guys. And you can see the length of this feed zone. I had to run a little bit, and I can attest. It feels like it's a few miles long. So those guys were all at the beginning of the aid. We will see Team Canyon. Their station is a little bit further up this feed zone. And Jasper, I think, is the only one in the front of that group, so he'll get to pass all of these guys, and then we are actually right next to the Rafa squad, and I know that they have quite a few athletes to feed. And so what the strategy of a lot of these teams that have multiple athletes, they'll have one main tent where they'll have all their tools like we saw before. Team Specialized, Team Canyon will have a table with everything there, the riders' shoes and glasses and any spare part that they might potentially need or want. And then they'll have their feeders spread throughout the feed zone. So if they miss a bottle from one of them, they'll have backup 1, backup 2, and sometimes even backup 3. It takes a really big team to make this happen. So when you see these riders in the break, it's really just know that there's a team of people behind them, which is sort of what was so special about, okay, we're seeing them come, but that was sort of what was so special about Cam's win last year. He had his parents. Imagine your parents in the feed zone. Every time, I don't think you're allowed to be on this side. Every time, oh god, I bucketed down. Okay, it's chaos. We're throwing buckets. We're seeing this big group of Peloton. They're tossing their bottles. People are waving, and they are coming at Mach 10, coming through. There's Roman looking good. Cam looking great. Oh my god. Okay, people are skirting to a halt in front of other riders. Matt Beers is also taking a bit of a break. It doesn't look like he's going to get a pressure wash at all as Toby also takes off. So it looks like every rider in this group, go Matt, go Toby, yeah, got him. Yeah, Toby. He said congratulations. Focus on the race. It looked like everyone in that peloton was, no one got a pressure wash. So that could be an advantage for the top 3. I mean, we saw, I think all 3 of them got their chains sprayed off, that mud cleared, and I mean, that's a difference of weight, and also, I mean, that grit is gonna wear down those parts, and this is a 200-mile race, so, okay, I'm sort of glad that is done with, and I get to do it again with the women when we see them come through, so I will hand it off to the studio because I am officially sweaty. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sarah. It's boy, what an exciting What an exciting aid station. These checkpoints again. There's new going back to 3 this year. This is the second one, and obviously we didn't know quite what to expect, but boy, they came through. It was like a NASCAR pit stop for most of these guys. And definitely could be an advantage for those 3 guys that are off the front. They got a good
wash? Yeah, sure.
Their tires clean, their brakes are clean, their chains are clean. So be interesting to see what the women do when they come through through this second checkpoint. So. Melissa, how's it feeling? How's it feel to be sitting here watching the action from the studio today?
Man, I'm kind of glad I'm not out there. I don't know why I'm sweating in the studio, but just watching it, yeah.
Talk about going through a feed zone and the differences about being at the front and then just being in the pack and how chaotic it is as a rider.
Yeah, it's super chaotic. I mean, you have to find your people. You're not really sure. I mean, the giant live squad, they're all in neon orange, and sometimes we do not see them even. So
thanks to Carl.
Tell us what we're watching here, Melissa.
Yeah, it looks like the start of the 25-mile race. Looks a little bit more cheery than the start of the 200 that I saw this morning. But yeah,
we've been seeing racing go off basically all morning, and it's such a wave of people, all shapes, sizes, all different types of bikes, and absolutely lovely to have so many people here in Emporia racing around these roads, enjoying the Flint Hills and all this beautiful gravel that's up for offer.
I'd say all different types of facial expressions too. I see a lot more smiles in the group.
Way more smiles.
Yeah, you didn't see that in the group going out at 6 o'clock this morning.
No, I was next to Pito when I started. There was smiles.
Oh, she's always smiling.
Yeah.
She
was doing selfies.
We've got someone who's having a hard time flipping into their flat pedals. It looks like they're getting off to a good start. So, Melissa, tell us what's up for you. What's your outlook look like for the year? You crossed the start line today. I know you're debating, and you still might be debating whether you're going to stick it out in a lifetime Grand Prix, or you still have the option, obviously, to give that spot up if you wanted to for a wild card athlete. But are you leaning towards staying back in? And we're back to the front of the women's group. We'll go to them here in just a second. But tell us what your thoughts are for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think for sure all eyes are on Leadville for me. So I mean, before that, I'm not sure. There's a few things maybe in the cards coming up in the next few weeks. Hopefully I can get back out there. But yeah, in my mind, Leadville is gonna happen. So cross your fingers and toes.
Well, let me tell you, if all else fails, it sounds like you have a baking career ahead of you if you wanted.
Yeah, I had the luxury of adopting a sourdough starter.
Right.
I'm a mother to a young, actually really old sourdough starter that I got just shortly after I got surgery, and almost every day, I think every day since I got that sourdough starter, I have made something new.
So it's been baking in the past.
No.
Yeah. Okay. You're pulling recipes and giving a go. And
yeah. I mean, like I said, I was a chemist before this, and
natural.
Yeah.
Natural.
Yeah.
Fit.
There's a whole like hydration, fermentation. There's a lot going on with sourdough, and
baking is very precise.
Yeah. I started out with dough recipes that only required one hand, because
yes.
I only had one. And yeah, I've progressed from there a little bit. Now I'm like actually like kneading and rolling out dough.
Well, I wish I lived closer. That's all I gotta say, because the things that you're putting on social media look decadent.
Yeah.
Louisa, let's love hearing about bread, but I want to talk about Leadville. So, Leadville's close to my heart, as you know, and I know it's close to your heart. I think we met through Leadville about 10 years ago.
That's
and
right.
It's also close to your family's heart. Your mom raced Leadville how many times now?
Yeah, she just finished her 20th time at Leadville.
20th time. She got her 2,000-mile buckle last year, right?
Yeah, second woman ever to do that. So, yeah, I don't know if I will follow in her footsteps for that many, but I'm not. This is gonna be 8.
This is gonna be 8.
Now I'm gonna have to do 10.
You gotta do 10. You gotta get that 1,000-mile buckle.
There's a jacket for 11.
Is the family coming out to Leadville? Is that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a family affair every year.
Always. Yeah. I'll be back there. And yeah, I think there's new motivation. Obviously, coming back from this injury is big motivation for me. So I'm excited to give it another shot this year. I think Kate kind of opened my eyes to what's possible out there. And I think she inspired a lot of people, not just me.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see some fast times at Leadville.
How was that experience being with Kate over at Cape Epic before everything went down? But you know, to spend some time with her, did you train with her also out in California at some point?
Yeah, we did a little training camp prior to heading out to Cape Epic, and yeah, I spent quite a bit of time with Kate. I think she kind of actually changed the way that I view myself in racing. It was really cool. I think even though this sort of derailed my early spring, I think it also changed the way that I'm going to approach racing for the rest of my career.
Well, did you see Kate has now turned a little bit to road racing, and did you give any feedback for her coming from the road yourself?
I would not say that I'm a pro road racer at all, but I have done a little bit in Europe, and so I was really excited to chat with her about how she felt. She won her first UCI road race in Europe.
Yes.
Really, really cool. Obviously, she's natural and has so much experience to bring to that discipline as well. So really cool to see. Yeah.
As we look back at the lead women here, who would you, if you had to pick one out of this group, who do you think you'd pick?
Dirty question.
We all have.
There's a lot of people I'd love to see win out of this group. I have a soft spot in my heart for Haley Perrine. She homed me for Gravel Burn last year in November. I went out to South Africa for the Gravel Burn, which was a 6-day, 5-day, 6-day, 7-day, I don't know. It was too many days. Stage race in South Africa on gravel, and man, I saw what she can do. She is super strong. She's super smart. She is actually just coming off a win at her national champs for marathon.
Right.
And I think she's going good. She obviously was going good at Cape Epic and at Sea Otter just a few weeks ago. So love to see her.
We just got a report from the field from the specialized camp there at Aid 2. We got a little inside intel that G-Shures and Sophia being on the same team, obviously, with Specialized. What the word from Specialized is there's no strategy for one or the other to work, one to work for the other. They both want to win. They're willing to work together to get to the finish line, but they both want to win. And so I don't know that we're going to see a tactic of one trying to work for the other here. So we've a lot of speculation we've had, that has been over the last couple months, and then we've certainly been talking about it here in this, on the show today. About what the team tactics are going to bring to gravel. Do you have any thoughts on it as we see more and more teams coming to gravel?
Yeah, I mean, I am very curious to see how that starts to develop over time. I think as soon as there's one team that starts to dominate, then we're all going to have to do it. But until that happens, I think it's free for all. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. And that's kind of been some conversation is what is going to happen. And one of the things, that we've also talked about is the radio that we're seeing right here on Lauren Stevens, right? That white piece on her helmet strap, that is a radio that she can talk to theoretically a teammate that's close by. And, would that be something that, like you said, would that be something that you would be going towards?
Yeah, I don't know how useful it is, honestly. But I don't know. Obviously, she's done it now at 2 races, so she's found use in it. I think it would be useful to be communicating with your crew, especially here. You could be telling them what to expect when you come through the zone.
Because what we saw in that picture just before this shot was basically Keegan on his cell phone texting.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a lot different than that.
How much dangerous is that? I mean, for Keegan, yeah, he's a professional. He can do that. For any other amateur out there, maybe not text and ride your bike at 23 miles an hour on somebody's wheel.
Unless you want a broken elbow, I would not. I would not suggest doing that, but...
We're back on taking a look at the men's chase, and I think they're heading north. They've been through that Matfield Green aid station. They're working their way north, and you can see another one of those cells up ahead. And those cells are typically working from on screen left to right or west to east, obviously. And it looks like a pretty gnarly one up there with some rain that came down. They're going to probably hit some more mud going up. There is a section coming up here that we added this year around the 130-mile marker called W Road, and that's that minimum maintenance road. I don't know if you've heard the stories about it, but it could be a game changer. It's really grassy, it's rocky underneath the grass. It's another minimum maintenance road, and it's got a couple little river crossings on it. And with this rain blowing through to the north of it, we'd expect that we're probably going to see a little bit of carnage going through that W Road. So we're expecting some excitement coming up here just shortly, but looks like
looking ominous up there.
You know, the interesting thing, though, I mean, if you look at that group, it doesn't look like they're working really hard. You know, we got a report there that lead is up to over 2 minutes now for that lead group. Of course, the lead group did stop and took the time. They probably gave up 30 seconds to all get their bikes cleaned, and none of this group stopped. But they don't seem to be real organized or pushing really hard, and you're certainly not going to get Matt Beers on the front of this group chasing down his two buddies, right?
And for reference, looking at that Stilo tracker at the bottom of the screen, you see the brown just past that feed zone 2. That was mile marker 82. So not quite halfway, but just a little gauge of where our men are currently. The women are blue, and what they have already finished is covered in blue. And, of course, the grayed out is what is left to race. So lots of racing to be had. But, yeah, it's the feed zones, as Sarah had alluded to, went from peace and quiet to complete chaos because of these athletes and how important it is to be efficient through those feed zones and what they're grabbing and what they're wanting.
Lisa, before we send you on your way, give us a little your perspective on the Lifetime Grand Prix and what that's done for professional cycling and how you've seen it, the impacts it's had over the last, we're into our 5th year now. Give us your perspective on it.
Yeah, I was actually asked yesterday on a podcast what I thought the turning point in gravel has been over the last few years, because obviously it's changed a lot, especially in the women's field. And I think it's the Lifetime Grand Prix. Just thinking back on this race in particular, my first time doing it was the first year of the Grand Prix. It was not a separated start, but I do think that year changed this event. And every year it changes, right? Every year it was, there's new things coming, and now it's sort of the standard that women's racing needs to have its own start. And I believe that it started here with the Grand Prix and demonstrating, women can have their own race, and it's interesting and it's fun to watch. And what you're doing right now, like what we're doing right now, we're showing the whole freaking 10, 12, however long this race is. We're showing all of it.
Every
I was just
mile.
thinking there's like 14,000 people watching. People are interested in this, and it's happening, and I'm super stoked to be a part of it. And yeah, obviously I have a soft spot for one race in this series in particular, and I probably would do it anyway if I wasn't in the series. But yeah, it's really cool to see that how much attention is being brought to this really, really cool racing. It's changing all the time, and yeah, I think it's because of the Grand Prix.
You're part of our athletes advisory panel for the Lifetime Grand Prix, which we just started so that we could, we always want to hear feedback and ideas and ways that we can improve. And obviously every year we make changes. We try to make changes year over year to keep improving and evolving and growing so that we can hopefully grow the sport. And so I want to just, thank you for being a part of that advisory panel. Thank you for coming in and joining us today and giving your perspective. And it's great to see you. I wish I'd rather be looking at you on the screen right there. Nothing personal, but rather have you out there racing. But hopefully we'll see you at Leadville, and you'll be healthy and happy and be back in shape to have a good race in Leadville.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. It's so great to have you.
Thanks for having me, you guys. And yeah, hopefully I'm not on this side for the next one.
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
Have a great day. All right, we're back on the on our elite women's lead group. This group, Lauren, it feels like there's not a lot of urgency there. And I don't know, are we getting a report that we have a rider off the front? Is that right?
I have not heard that. Haven't seen anybody make an attack while we were talking to Melissa. We've kind of got the who's
Stevens, but was she actually chasing? Was she?
I think she's off the back.
Okay.
And also with Morgan Aguirre, we were just kind of getting some close-ups of some of those that, maybe they're right behind this group. I'm not quite sure if we could pan back and see what's behind them. But nope, this group is still working. So yeah, that is confirmation. Morgan is unfortunately off the back of this race, so not her day currently. Not quite sure how far back, but yeah, you got to keep fighting forward, and because you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's about all you can do. You know, sometimes you go through these bad patches during the race, and you just have to keep pressing forward, keep taking on some nutrition, keep your head in a good space. And you talk about you need to compartmentalize, right? If you start to think, oh man, we're 65 miles into the race, 75 miles into the race, my word, we've got 130 miles to go.
Yeah.
Your body's going to shut down, right? Because your body's like, I can't do that.
Well, and that's what Melissa was saying is the aid stops, you look forward to them, and it breaks up the day. And like she said, worst case scenario, just make it to the next aid stop, checkpoint, feed zone, whatever we're calling them. But Cecily Decker definitely is having a stellar day. She's basically raced clean thus far. She's been at the front. Usually that is kind of an indication of, hey, maybe you're a little nervous and doing too much work at the front, but that has never been a problem for Cecily Decker.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Sorry, bud. Yeah.
No, it's, that's just the way she raced from the time she kind of popped onto our radar last year. It's Sea Otter doing so much of the work in that chasing group, and that's just kind of clearly we're realizing that's her MO, right? Like she just not a lot of team tactics, not a lot of hidden agendas coming out of Cecily Decker. She's just out there to race her bike, but interestingly enough, right? She's not one of the riders we've talked about in a negative light in terms of bad luck this morning.
Right.
You know, it's just
Not at
like
all.
she was dealing with a little bit of that mud early, but wasn't one of the riders with a flat tire, wasn't one of the riders caught up in the crash, has always been on the right side of every split that's happened so far, which, that to me, that's the most important thing, that, she might be spending energy on the front right now, but she's riding at her own pace.
Exactly.
Right? Like, that's a whole different world than if you miss the group and you're chasing, because now you got to ride hard. And that's when you're really burning them.
That's when it's going to affect on the other end. Look at a good close-up here of our lead group of 3 men. Mads Wertz Schmidt right here off the back. That European. Oh, I already missed it. Yeah, that's just they're just such good bike handlers. Kobe Freeburn sitting second wheel. That Trek Driftless team, and Keegan Swinson. Specialized team, that brand new Crux that they've just released.
Yeah, just a couple days ago. It's obviously living up to the hype, right?
Yeah, sure. And you know what's funny is like Unbound has now become the place that everyone's kind of letting out their new gear, and we've got the 32-inch Sky wheel, bike wheel. We've got the Crux. We had Alexi Vermeulen's Envy specially painted up for this race. We had Russell Finsterwald's one-off helmet painted up. Like, so many things come out this weekend, I think just because the magnitude of this race worldwide.
Yeah, the magnitude of the race, the amount of people that come into town here. I mean, if you were here yesterday and Thursday, the expo was absolutely packed with people, and the expo expanded this year. Normally, the expo is kind of on some of the side streets. This year, we took over Commercial Street, where the start finish is, and had that all blocked off and set up, and a lot more vendors than we've had in the past, a lot more foot traffic coming through. So, yeah, what better way to unveil a lot of new things, and my final comment on that is Alexi's bike is my favorite. With the Willie paint job, right?
I mean, that dog is like the gravel dog.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So, getting another look at our 3 leaders there, and Mad Wertz Schmidt riding for Specialized in that European champion jersey. Keegan Swenson in second. Kobe Freeburn riding for the Trek squad in third, and not necessarily the most enviable position, but hey, he's doing what he can up there with the leading trio. So.
you never, never had.
Well, the better we train now, the farther we go later. As the official off-bike apparel sponsor of the Lifetime Grand Prix, Smart Wool Activewear is made with merino wool to offer light, breathable training gear. This broadcast is sponsored by Kinetic. Clarity and focus on demand. 12 grams of ketones, caffeine-free, informed sports certified. When your body is spent and the trails keep climbing, well, your brain needs to still make the call. Metabolic brain fuel for athletes who refuse to fade. To learn more, visit drinkkinetic.com.
Bill, we're back to our lead riders here. This lead group of three, you see they've hit that section. They're headed east, actually, on this road that's going to take them over to Sharps Creek. Sharps Creek, and you can see that rainstorm that we saw earlier has blown through this area. It's obviously really muddy where they are right now. Interesting thing, Sharps Creek, we brought that section of the course back in. Last time it was in was 2015, and that was the absolutely epic mud year, that probably the most epic of all the mud years. That Yuri Oswald, actually, our Chase the Race rider, Yuri Oswald won that year, and I think it was a 12 or 13 hour day out there because of that mud. They walked, some riders walked as much as 25 miles that year, we heard. They are about to get to Sharps Creek Road, and it's looking as though it's going to be interesting, because it looks as though that storm has blown through here and dumped rain. You can see how wet it is where these riders are right now, where Keegan and Mads and Kobe are. And they're headed over to Sharps Creek. I wanted to make one other quick comment I wanted to make on Kobe. I was looking, he also, kind of forgot, he won Mid-South this year in a sprint with Cam Jones.
Right.
Took him in a sprint. So we talked a little bit earlier about Kobe and his kind of rising status here in the gravel peloton, if you will, and coming up through the ranks of the Lifetime Grand Prix. He is, he is strong, and he has got a powerful sprint. To be able to outsprint Cam Jones, he's got some legs. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys can make this thing stick. We could be looking at an interesting sprint at the finish. A little early to be thinking about that. They're going to be rolling into Sharps Creek. Sharps Creek starts about mile 106, so they're headed east for a few more miles here, and they'll make that left on Sharps Creek Road, start heading north. But I'm expecting we could have some, depending on how much rain came down out there on Sharps Creek Road, we could have some really gnarly mud conditions again.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to be walking back into some really thick stuff. The paint six coming out, maybe the speed coming back down. Amazingly, the speed's been going up as we get deeper into the race. They're now averaging over 23 miles an hour, which, kind of amazing. And the last time split that we saw from our three leaders here, back to the chase, is about 3.5 minutes. So that was a little bit ago, so I would suspect that gap has probably gone out a little bit. Emil Herzog, Matt Beers, Caleb Botcher, Paul Voss, Roland Bardet, Don Suta, Cam Jones, all in that chase, along with Toby Rhodes and a few other riders. You know, worth mentioning in that chase, Caleb Botcher, one of our wildcard athletes out of Palmerston, New Zealand, looking to try and make a name for himself. This race, the second of two for the wildcard, right? So we're basing things off of how our athletes did at Sea Otter back in April, and then of course today here at Unbound. So we'll take the top couple riders from both the men's and the women's side and give them the offer at least to get up into the actual Lifetime Grand Prix moving forward for the rest of the season.
And what an opportunity that was for Cam Jones last year.
Right.
When he came and won here, that solidified his spot, and then took the series overall.
Yeah, I don't think
What
anybody
did he
called that, right?
No way.
Called that at the beginning
Not
of
at
the
all. At the beginning of the year, for sure not. Just asking him on the athlete panel, what does it feel like coming back here? What's that pressure feel like coming as last year's winner? And he's like, zero pressure. Already won it. Check the box. Now, I just have a hard time believing that as a competitor.
Right.
You're always gonna, if you're toeing the line, you always want to win the race you're in, because as the saying goes, you're only as good as your last race or win. So, I hate the saying, but you know, but he can say that. I've checked the box.
So two of our wild cards that are in that chase right now, Skylar Taylor and Kayla Botcher, they're currently sitting fourth and fifth overall. Matt Wilson, the leader of that, Martin Blooms in second, and Andrew Dillman currently in third. And we might have Matt Wilson may well be in that chase group. We'll have to take a look back down through that.
Matt Wilson's in the second chase. I just found him on here.
Okay.
21st place coming through the last checkpoint. He's about little over 6 minutes down right now. So he's 21st. But he's leading. It looks like in that. No, actually, Caleb Botcher I think is leading in that wild card. Out of that wild card group, he's in 6th overall right now. So. Yeah, he's up in this. It looks like he's in that chase group that's about just over 3 minutes down.
Yeah, so that'll be it's going to be a great battle for the wild card to see who does take that out. So we'll keep an eye on that, both on our men's and our women's side. Once we switch back to that, we'll kind of see how things are shaking out on that side of things as well.
Watching our men's chase group here. Little bit of organization, but not too much. More just assisting each other. Just saw Roman Bardet getting a little assistance from the German national champion right there. Here at the back.
Looks like the wind kind of going out of the sails of this chase group, right? That's my read right now.
I would say a little bit. You have Matt Beers towards the front, and one of the ways to deter anyone from chasing down your teammates theoretically up front is to basically stick yourself near the front. So any camaraderie or coordination that's near the front will all go moot if you're sitting there, because you're basically going to shake the tree and say, well, I'm not pulling through.
Right.
I'm not doing any work.
You know, and again, we, talking about, what we heard about the women, it's not really a formal teamwork kind of situation. Might be the same thing on the men's side, but we'll kind of see how that unfolds as we switch our attention back here to our women leaders. And look at this, we've got 4 riders. Look at this, Sophia. That looks like it's going to be Sophia, Cecily Decker, and G. Schurz, and is that Cecile on there? The 4th rider on the back of the bus. So 4 riders now pulling out a little bit of an advantage. You see that chase group there, single file as well on one of the very few paved road sections of the course, kind of a little transitional spot between some of the gravel roads. So this is a place where they're really going to be picking up a lot of speed, and the 2 specialized riders really kind of laying down the law right now.
Yeah, well, all 4 are rolling through. I'm wondering who initiated that attack. We do have open roads, so cars coming past, but in the back chasing, you've got to think, like, you have to reconnect with this group of 4. You do not want to let that firepower up the road. 2 previous winners trying to pick out that 4th rider sitting on G's wheel. Not quite sure who that was. When we get a beat on it, we'll tell you who it is.
Yeah, we'll try and get our eyes on. What a great view of some of the cattle out here driving the course the other day. So many open range farms, right? And we kind of talked about, well, that's actually just another course feature to be careful of, right? Like, riding along through all these farm areas and a lot of open range going on. You're gonna have to be a little wary not to hopefully spook some of the cattle out there on course. That could send things a little bit sideways.
Beautiful shots, though, and again, just talking about the differences in our pictures here. To the right, our women's lead. To the left, our men's lead. And just the different types of terrain that they will face all day today. Just tire choice, again, it's always such a hot topic, and you can see why, because you cross over so many different types of roads, and trying to prepare for the worst, but also be as efficient as possible with tire pressure and tire tread. And it looks like someone is coming across to that group of 4.
Yeah, one rider getting clear of that chase group, so can't quite see. It doesn't look like Rosa.
And it doesn't look like they're putting it in like a full gas attack. It looks like they're just putting more pressure on the pedals and got some separation. Now, we could be completely wrong. Maybe someone did put in an attack, and this is them settling into a rhythm, a harder pace. Sophia flicking the elbow, indicative of please pull through and match my speed. Getting a good close here.
Yeah, so this
That's Rosa. Oh my gosh. Yeah, come on.
That is Rosa coming across.
No, that's Rosa in the
Rosa
break.
just got in the break. Okay, yeah. So that's a high-powered breakaway right now. And
yeah, they're rolling in the town of Cassidy right now.
Right.
This is that last little town before they make the right-hand turn and head up into the aid station. We'll get back out to Sarah Sturm here in just a second as they come through. We can see on another screen with Sarah where there's actually there are men's riders still going through that second feed zone. We'll cut over to Sarah here in just a couple moments as these lead women working really well together. You can see the flick of the arm there from Sophia. Making sure everybody's pulling through. As I mentioned earlier, she's always wanted to make sure to keep control of the group, and she's got a good strong teammate there, and then another former winner here, Rosa Closer, managed to bridge back up into this group. So they're going to make a right-hand turn, and then they'll head north about a mile. They'll roll into that second feed zone.
Did anybody get a bead out there on the interwebs of Sophia's earrings today? That'll be. I'm wondering what she's wearing.
So it could be Sarah Lang, maybe, that rider that was trying to get across. Obviously,
She didn't make it.
Didn't make it. You can see her about to get reabsorbed. So this could be a pretty big turning point here in the women's race. These four riders just using every inch of this pavement to maximize their speed right now.
1 against 4. That was a big ask for whoever it was trying to jump across. And Sarah is extremely strong, and man, to have her up here would have been really great for her day, because she's such a strong rider. She just hasn't been able to put it together quite yet.
Right. Yeah. Yes, they're just about to make that right turn there at the Cassidy Cemetery. So yeah, now they're heading their way back north again. So a good long stretch here. Heading north on the course before that next left-hand turn. That'll be up at Northeast 170th Street. That'll be their next left-hand turn here in just a couple of miles. 4 leaders. So they're going to work real well together right now. G-Shirt on the front swinging off. She's the taller of the two specialized riders. Sophia Gomez de Champagne now rolling through. Cecily Decker, one of the last year's revelations, riding for the PA Racing team. And then Rosa Closer in the white kit on the back, a former winner here just a few years ago. And interestingly, it doesn't look like Rosa coming through. Rosa kind of sitting on the back of this group.
She's missed a couple turns here. Yeah. Took notice of that. She pulled her cell phone out, so it looks like she's going to pull a Keegan here and text in what she needs for nutrition coming up to this aid station. She's the 2024 winner, so she knows how to run. She won in that kind of infamous sprint that year, and she's we know she's got a sprint, and obviously Cecily in that group, second last year here, second overall in the Lifetime Grand Prix last year. Just so solid. So we've got G was actually second in 2024 as well. So right behind Rosa. So we've got some firepower in this break today.
Yeah, a couple former champions, a couple former podium finishers in this group. So it makes it a tough one to call. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this situation up here. Because again, Lauren, we were just saying that Rosa is sitting out some pulls. She's sitting on the back of this bus here. Nobody's giving her a hard time about it so far.
Well, remember at the beginning of the race, she was also off the back for a while. We weren't sure if it was mechanical or something, but
Look,
you gotta pay attention. Just catch, and again, will the specialized ladies stop and get a full on, and will Cecily and Rosa push forward? Are they gonna get a drive-through, basically, feed zone, or is there an agreement?
Yeah, they're rolling into this long straight stretch to the feed zone, so perfect time to turn it back over to our friend Sarah Sturm out there in feed 2.
Okay, here we go. They are coming in hot behind me. There's a group of 4, and what I'm seeing is no one is stopping. These ladies are absolutely hauling ass. Go, Sophia, go, G! And they are through. The chase is coming in. It looks like there is a mix of men. Yes. Okay, we are mixing with the men. There's a little group of men, and then now we have Team Canyon coming through, and people are focused. Samara. Okay, there goes Haley. We're going to watch a really fast pit right now. She's actually stopping, and she was, one of the few that stopped. Something must, okay, she forgot a bottle. Oh, it is chaos. I thought a foot went through a spoke. Okay, and that was our lead women. That was Paige. Let's go, Paige. Come on, you got this. Paige has, there goes Paige. It's a long feed zone, so like the women, yes! Sorry. She gave me the eyes that the cameraman got. Like, this is insane. So we're seeing some of them go flying through, and it could be advantageous for the team specialized and Rosa and, you know, the girls who are off the front and Cecily to just roll through and grab a new set. I don't know if they're going to attack here or not, but they're still, okay, sorry, there's men coming through. It's a long feed zone is what I was saying. So you're seeing riders that might look like they're off the back, but they might have just had their pit a little bit earlier than all the others. And they'll catch up to like Team Canyon, for example, who haven't hit their feed zone yet. So everyone looked pretty dang muddy, but pretty focused. I mean, it looks like everything happened right before the feed, which can be a strategic move on the racers. You know, like I know Sophia likes to just have, you know, everything kind of like as chill as possible for herself, and it can be a really, really smart move to get out ahead of everyone. And that could, oh, not Clara. It's someone else. I don't know who. It's a dude. My bad. But it is chaotic because the women have caught quite a few of the men, you know, at this point, and they're going to continue picking them off through the race. And I can attest it is a stressful component, especially in the feed zone, but it really is unavoidable. I hear thunder around. We are in it now, people. I mean, it's getting real out there. People are getting ready for the next round, it looks like. I mean, crews are refilling their wash buckets and finding the musets. There's still a lot of riders that need to come and get their nutrition. And teams are working hard. I mean, we're seeing folks running back and forth. I've seen people tripping over wheel sets, dropping buckets. I mean, it really is like, it's as organized as it can be, but it's still gravel out here. Like, we're still standing in the middle of a field, and there's rain all around us. It's coming, it's going. I mean, I'm standing in front of a dead raccoon carcass. It's truly magical out here, people. You're really missing out not seeing what we're seeing. We'll fashion it into a nice hat for later on with the tail. But yeah, we're still laughing about the raccoon carcass. I wish we had a scooter and could see the entire, okay, sorry, Ricky Raccoon, R.I.P. I wish I could have a scooter and go the whole length of the feed zone. It looked like Team Canyon was together, which it could, I mean, in the women's race right now, it's still a battle of the bands out here, people. I mean, we got Team Specialized with Sophia and G up there. It's gonna potentially heat up. I mean, Canyon wants their ladies up there, and they're gonna sacrifice some to do it. So we'll see. I mean, I hear the helicopter buzzing around. It's getting a little bit chaotic. I'm excited to see the next group come through. I'm not totally sure if we'll be able to wait to, there it is. I wish everyone could stand in a feed zone so you can actually feel the energy before the racers, even before you see the lead moto. It's sort of like the energy in the peloton, actually. Like, you can feel this tension that starts coming in before they come. Everyone sort of like does a like quick inhale waiting for everyone to roll through. And I mean, as we saw with Haley's feed zone, I mean, she has a dialed team, but you know, it's just you're doing your best. Everyone's doing their best. Hi, Bets. How is it out there? Tell us a little bit of what you've seen. Oh, hold on, and we're cutting. We gotta. I can't tell if this is women. It looks like it is. Yes, it is. It is another group of women. We are seeing the remainder Team Canyon. Oh my God, almost a crash. There goes Lauren Stevens. She's dumping a bottle. Morgan. Yeah, Morgan. Good job, bud. Nice, Morgan. Everyone's dumping bottles. Nicole's right in front of us. She is communicating with her team if she's going to keep going. She is really banged up. Nicole, you got this, babe. Okay, she's on it. It looks really bad. Yeah, she's getting her bars straightened. She has cuts everywhere. Her fingers are bleeding. Her knees. That was a hard fall. It looks like her mechanic, Jimmy, is straightening her bars, but she's going to assess some of this damage and decide if she wants to continue on. They are pressure washing her bike, so we could see her get back on. I mean, she's tough. I have not trained with her personally this year, but she looks really disappointed. I know she really wants to finish this. She was having a fantastic ride, and honestly, she really isn't. She's still up there. Like, the thing about Unbound is Nicole could get back in this race if her body feels okay, if she's able to assess the damage that, you know, she underwent through that crash and feels like she can push through it safely. We could potentially see her getting a good result still, but it's, you know, the rider and her team have to help her make that call. It's sometimes a really hard one to make. You have to decide, like, is this road rash? Is this something more severe? Like, did I hit my head? Sometimes it's really helpful to have your teammates in there. I know for me, crashing out last year with the concussion, I had, you know, my friends and teammates in the Peloton who helped me make the decision that it actually is not a good, smart decision to keep going, especially when you hit your head. And it's hard because, I mean, Nicole's put everything into this, like every racer. She doesn't want to pull the plug, but you also have to think about the rest of your season and the rest of your life, you know? I mean, we've learned a lot about head injuries over the years, and it's not something that you can just push through. You know, I'm watching her clean her road rash, and it doesn't feel good. Like, you get the toughest of the tough out here. And the fact that she's not just sitting down right now and she's thinking of going, she's grabbing her musette, and it looks like, to me, she's going to continue on. But it's a really hard call. I know she has it. You know, she has what it takes to be in that lead group. She can't even move her shoulders. It's like hard to watch. I'm gonna tear up. It's brutal, but she's gonna keep going. The rain is actually starting to, like, really, really come in. Okay, I have to say something. Nicole, you got this. Here we go, Danny Shrewsbury. So now she's gonna have a teammate. So Nicole could have been waiting, and here's LDC. Yeah, Lauren. Yeah, Danny. Nicole, work with Danny. Okay, Danny's jamming those electrolyte tabs. Yeah, girls. Yeah, come on, Nicole, you got this, girl. Come on, just like we talked about. You got this. Yeah, Danny, Nicole's gonna wait for you. You got this, Dan. Yes. Okay, sorry, I just screamed into the mic. Okay, these girls are gonna work together. They might not have. We're seeing Team Rafa. Okay, Danny is just catching up to Nicole, and this might be the difference between both of them staying in this race. And I don't doubt, I mean, 2023, the other mud year, Danny and I bridged back all the way almost to Sofia by the end of the day. So much can still happen. I mean, we saw Nicole waiting there for quite a while, but I don't know. Sometimes you just need another person that you've ridden with, that you've trained with, next to you, racing through this. Danny knows what it feels like to have some road rash and keep riding, and they're in it together now. So I'm really hoping that they can pull it off. But I think that was the biggest group that we'll see for a while. And now we're just going to endure this rain. It's really, I don't know if the camera's on me or not, but it is actually like coming down a bit. I feel like one of those weathermen. The heavy stuff isn't going to come down for quite some time now, but we're going to get into the car before it really hits. Okay, back to the studio. See you guys there.
These are the best field reporting updates we're getting.
The raccoon takes the top prize, I think, for the day. Unfortunately, we didn't show that picture yet, at least online. But yeah, a great field report from Sarah Sturm up there, and I think we're getting some more updates of our man Yuri out there on course, huh?
Yeah, our man Yuri chased the race. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Yuri started dead last today in the 200. He's our 2015 Unbound champion. Started dead last, raising money for the Lifetime Foundation. 100% of the proceeds that he raises are going to go to building a bike park here in the community of Emporia. We have a $50,000 goal. Right now, it looks like he's passed 983 riders. I got online a second ago. I think it might even be up to 989. That's 79% of the field that he has caught starting dead last. And he's only 54 miles in. So he has caught that many riders 54 miles in. That was the 54-mile checkpoint. So far, it sounds like we've raised $28,000 for that bike park here in Emporia. Scan that QR code there on the screen. We need your support. You can donate a flat amount. You can donate a per rider passed amount. You got a pretty good idea how many. We said earlier we thought he would pass north of 1,000 riders. He's headed there. He's pretty darn close. There's a good chance he's going to get there. We only had 1,249, I think, official starters for the 200 today. Crossed the finish line. We had about almost 1,600 registered. So a fair amount of no-shows and deferrals. People opting not to show up. Maybe got a little intimidated by the weather and the mud. But Yuri is out there just giving it his all, and show him a little bit of support. Scan that QR code there on the screen. Let's see if we can help him get up to his goal of $50,000. And once again, with the Lifetime Foundation, Lifetime covers all of the operating costs of the foundation. 100% of every dollar that we bring in through the foundation gets invested back into the communities where we put on these great events.
I tell you, it's amazing. He may 1,200 starters. He may well pass everybody. I mean, it wouldn't be surprised at this point. That would be a got to be a little extra motivation for him to be out there, and he's having a great time. So yeah, hats off to Yuri for a job so far.
Yeah, great. Just such a great advocate for the sport. Obviously, a big fan of Unbound and a big fan of what we're doing here with Lifetime and our events business. But he is a longtime GU athlete and just a great personality, great advocate for everything we're doing here in the sport.
Yeah, he's so great and such a team player for everything Lifetime Grand Prix. And speaking of teams, going back to the feed zone, and when we were basically looking at both of those Rafa riders and a whole, we've talked about G and Sophia as teammates off the front of the race, but to also have your teammate when you have been injured is also such a gift. We saw that Natalie Fran was basically going to wait at the top of the climb for Danny, just to have that mental assistance, that emotional assistance. It's always good to have your teammate no matter where you are on the day.
Yeah, a long day like this, you can definitely use a little bit of help on there. So yeah, not surprising. You know, while we were watching and listening to Sarah's, all that chaos through the feed zone, but our four leaders in the women's race are back together: G. Schurz and Sophia Gomez, Nisha Fournier from Specialized, Cecily Decker, and Rosa Closer in the lead.
Unbound is pure chaos. Everything is moving, everything is changing, and a lot can go wrong. So I focus on what I can control. My effort, my decisions, and of course, my fueling. I choose never second. Control under chaos.
Every morning you make a promise to yourself to push harder, to go further, to give it your best. Years ago, I made a promise too. When I discovered supplements weren't what they claimed to be, I promised to create something worthy of your standards. Something as committed to excellence as you are. Because extraordinary effort deserves extraordinary support. LTH, the most rigorously tested supplements in the industry.
Keegan Swenson, Sophia Gomez, Isha Fanye, and Matt Beers are all dominating the gravel scene, and they all fuel with Never Second. It's science-backed performance nutrition trusted by the best. To learn more, visit never2.com.
Thank God that's over, man. I freaking was at FTP the whole time.
Again, our leaders
366,
in the women's race here.
I think it was.
And looking, same old story here. So Specialized with the upper hand. Two riders in this break. They are into the red there on the front. Cecily Decker in the pie. And 2024 winner Rosa Closer in the white. So kind of the heads of state of the women's gravel peloton have all made these selections and gotten themselves to the front. Also looking the split screen at our men's leaders. Mads Wirtz-Schmidt, the European champion.
I'm sure they put a few minutes into me.
Keegan Swenson there. And oh, look at this. Kobe Freeburg maybe starting to feel this pressure a little bit. It doesn't look like this is intentional necessarily by Specialized to get the gap. I think Kobe just maybe feeling the weight of the effort here.
Yeah, we're getting into that 100-mile mark halfway through the race day, and these rows have gotten so heavy. These guys have been up to so much up until this point. You know, just the attrition will eventually eat at you.
You know, taking a look at the front of the women's race there, we haven't seen the chase group in quite a while, but the last split they came through, they were only about 30 seconds back. We saw them as they came through that second feed zone. There wasn't a big gap between this lead group of 4 women and then the chasers that were right behind them, and those chasers went through quick. They didn't take much time, and so there was only about a 30-second gap. But looking at this lead group of men, they have extended this lead. It looks like it's close to 6 minutes now to Brendan Johnson and Bill Herzog, Caleb Botcher, and Toby Road, and that group that's chasing. So it looks like our lead group of men may be coming apart here a little bit with Kobe coming off the back of Mads and Keegan, but these guys have almost a 6-minute gap over the chasing men.
Yeah, it looks like about 9 or 10 riders in that chase. So Brendan Johnson, Emil Herzog, Caleb Botcher, one of our wild card. Toby Road, Cam Jones, the defending champion there. Odney Koster in that group as well. Pierre Havoc and Roman Bardet in that group, along with Matt Beers and Paul Voss just trailing that group by a few seconds, and then it's another 3 minutes back to the next group.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see with Mads and Keegan now off the front, now just the two of them, what that time gap will continue either to grow out or stale, just stagnate just a little bit, or who's going to be the one to chase us down. We saw Roman Bardet working a little bit for Cam Jones. Is that the case for them for the day? What you got, Bill?
Yeah, I was just look at the gap now that's opened up. With Kobe Freeburg, it looks like the parachute just kind of came out there and
lights out.
Yeah, kind of thought if he got over that roller, he might be able to freight train his way back in, but it looks like that's not going to happen here. As these two guys now, they know they've got it. And yeah, be interesting to find out what happened. Was there a little attack that we missed, or was it just an attrition thing, right?
I think also maybe just a younger rider doesn't have the miles in his legs or the experience in his head and heart to kind of really know what it takes. But, good on him for being out there with these guys and pulling toe-to-toe. Like, they obviously kind of made him, asked him to.
Well, he kind of had no choice, right? I mean, it just would have been an attack, counter-attack. Well, you had it. Yeah, you always have a choice, but his presence would have been a lot more short-lived.
No free rides.
Yeah, absolutely.
And worth noting, Mads and Keegan on that Specialized team. We've been, speculating all day whether the Specialized team effect was gonna have an impact on the front of the race. We're seeing Specialized obviously dominate on the women's side as well with 2 up there in the front group, and now we've got 2 guys off the front, both Specialized riders. So I'd say that the teams coming to gravel, we're starting to see it kind of come to life here at Unbound Gravel.
Is it too early to speculate about the finish for the men's race between the two of them?
You know, I don't know if it is. The time gap keeps going the right way for the breakaway, so it might be fair to start throwing ideas around about that.
Yeah,
But,
6 minutes is, but there's still 100 miles to race.
I know, right? The halfway point, right? They've been out there for 4.5 hours, and you know we're literally just floating that halfway point of the race practically. So still a long way to go. And I'll tell you, the average speed, amazing. 23 miles an hour, just a shade over for our leaders right now. So we'll see if that speed continues to stay steady as we, again, turn our attention to the women and, you know, the status quo. You see G-Shures and a little bit of a lighter gear there in the back spinning, and you can just see that top layer. It's not such thick mud anymore, but it's just a little bit slimy there, so still pretty good traction, just maybe a little bit slippery on that top level.
Yeah, we got another guest joining us here. Pete Stetna is come into the studio to join us. Pete's a little bit of history on Pete. It's been a you know, really important part of the transition to gravel over the last few years. Came off a world tour, really healthy world tour career a few years ago to make the move over to gravel. One of the first world tour riders to make the move to gravel. Has been part of the Grand Prix the last few years. 5th overall in the 2022 Grand Prix, 6th overall in the 2023, 8th overall in 2024. Here at Unbound, he's been as high as 3rd place on the podium in 2021. 2023 he was also 7th here at Unbound. This year he's in what we're calling his farewell tour. He's off, had done a number of events this year as kind of almost like Phil Guyman with kind of the world's worst. What does he say? World's worst retirement. I'd say he's on the slow path out here. We're glad to have him here with us, though. He actually started the XL last night, and interested to get the story about what happened. We know you ended up in the hospital at some point. I see you looks like you're bandaged up and stitched up. But
yeah.
Pete, thanks for joining us today, and good to see you.
Well, thanks for having me. I've been watching it all morning here after my late stay, and it's a wild ride. Yeah, this rainstorm that came in changed everything, you know, and so you know, I'm enjoying the riding myself, but you know, the other main part of my job here especially is, you know, I've been helping the Canyon team and some other riders I'm mentoring, so we've been kind of trying to prepare for all eventualities, but when this happens, you can't plan. Like, you just have to, and experience counts here. So, you know, I think we're starting to see that.
Tell us what you saw out there in the middle of the night. We heard about some storms rolling through. It got pretty nasty. And what'd you go through out there?
It was a beautiful start. The Grand Depart at 3 p.m. with the whole expo at its height is awesome.
The crowd was huge.
It was huge. It felt kind of like, you know, the gravel rolled a little bit, you know, kind of a slower rollout. And then, you know, the race started to whittle down. It was very windy, so it was kind of crosswind, headwind, crosswind. And eventually there was kind of a final selection of about 10 of us. And as we rolled into Eureka at mile like 120-ish, kilometer 180, a few of us decided to stop and resupply because it's just before nightfall. And so we all kind of rushed in there and grabbed what we could. The store clerk wasn't having too much fun trying to deal with cash and Apple Pay, but that's the game. We were trying to be respectful, but he, I don't think he knew what he was in for a long night. Yeah, so 5 of the 10 didn't stop, and they kept pushing forward, and 5 of us did. And so it was, leaving Eureka, it was myself, Alex McCormick, our young ATR rider, who is an ultra specialist, and Robin Gemperle, who is now leading the race right now, and Victor Bozo, who was the winner of the Choco 560. So this was a good group to roll back with. And this was the magical part for me, is we were just full team time trial into the night, and the Fireflies started, you know, doing their nightly dance. It was beautiful. I was like,
Great time to be out there, right?
yeah, and I was like, this is what I wanted. You know, for me, it was the experience of pushing through the night, doing this all-night self-supported thing, and then the rain came, and we caught the lead.
What time did the rain start to fall on you guys?
About
'Cause
9.
When we were kind of cutting it here, it was still dry out and still looked.
Yeah, it was all to the west. It started to come around 9 p.m. in the dark, and yeah, just I came a cropper, slid out hard, it was deep mud too, and I had a big hole from what I could see. after peeling away some mud globs. So I kind of knew like this is, if I ride, another 10 plus hours, like this is a guaranteed infection. Like my day's done. So luckily I found a good Samaritan out there and called Big Tall Wayne, and he brought me back. Conveniently, funny story, I saw Ted King also with a big knee gash in the ER at midnight last night. So I'm not the only one. And then it looks like the heavens have unleashed. We've seen a lot of walking. I've been following the dot, because I'm here to hopefully welcome Alex in for a great result here and kind of take care of him while the rest of our ops team is all dealing with the 200 pros.
Yeah, we're looking at the leaderboard right now on the XL. Alex, your rider, Alex McCormick, in second place. He's just past the 311-mile mark about 10 minutes ago. Robin Gamperli, we're getting an estimate from our race director. They're going to be in sometime between 12:15 and 12:30. Local time is kind of our estimate. So looks like those lead riders. Fourth place right now, Josh Hamburger. I don't know if you know Josh, but ex-professional triathlete making the move over to ultra endurance riding. So tough conditions out there. Do you know anything? Have you heard anything about what's happening at the front of the women's field? Svenja Betts, Larissa Connor, an ex Leadville winner.
Yeah.
Leadville champion up there at the front. Madeline Nutt, who just won the 560 at Traka, I think.
Yeah, Svenja is riding impressive, and I don't know her. I know she's a defending champ, or not defending, but a former winner here. Larissa Connors actually lives in my town of Santa Rosa, so we crossed paths quite a bit. And she is a hoot. She is alternative, to say the least, in the best of ways. Just always a positive person. So she's having a great time. As she's started to come back into cycling, she started doing, these late day or early morning rides before she goes into her main gig as she's a math teacher at Santa Rosa High School, I think.
She's working full time.
Oh yeah. But she's doing these crazy night things, and she caught the bug by doing the mega grasshopper route last fall, and she started bugging me, and I hit Christy up, and I was like, "You remember Larissa Connors? She's got the XL itch." Larissa joined the XL early in the year, and then I guess the itch was too strong that I had to decide to explore for myself too.
So what drew you in? You just made the commitment here just recently, I think, right? To make the switch up to the XL.
Yeah, I was gonna be here, for my obligations with the team, and experience Unbound in a different way, and I felt like that's, as I'm winding things down, like a part of travel I've never explored is this push through the night, this ultra endurance side of things, and it felt like an itch I had to scratch. It's more of a personal exploration, and I don't know if I'm the guy who can push all night, or maybe I'm just the high octane racer who is, after 15 hours, wants a slice of pizza at a Casey's gas station, and both had to be okay with me. Like, it was just going to be a personal thing. So for me, I mean, the biggest disappointment is I didn't get to do the thing last night. I didn't get to explore that space, but I guess the itch is still there. I mean, I woke up this morning, I'm already thinking of maybe it's this next year or something.
Yeah, that was my question, right? Do you think the itch will continue, and this will fuel you to not necessarily put off the full-on retirement, but to maybe just make a run at this?
I don't know if it's Unbound XL. I mean, I would love it. I mean, if it's not a mudder like what we're seeing now, this is extreme.
This is quickly going extreme.
This is the worst mudder I've seen in quite some time, I think, since I've been doing Unbound. So I don't know if it's this one or next, but yeah, I need to explore it. And for me, retirement doesn't have to be goodbye, see you never in the traditional sense. This is my social circle. These are my people. You guys are my people, and this is my happy place. So I still want to do bikes, and so you'll still see me line up at a race. It's just the focus is not on. I think that the dedication of athletic pursuit, right? Like what all these riders we're watching right now are doing is they're counting every carb. Everything is nitpicked. And that's, I think, what starts to really weigh on you with a longer career. It's the lifestyle is the hardest.
It becomes less performance-based and more experience-based,
exactly.
Right? Where you can have a little fun but still seek these challenges that can.
Pete, I think we know you can push it through the night. Earlier this year, you took part in the Stagecoach 400. No, you didn't. Oh,
you know.
sorry. We got a bad result there. Okay. Well, you on your retirement tour, you started out with us at Sea Otter. You get 4th overall in the XL this year. Is that right?
I did the gravel race.
Is it just the gravel race?
16th,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, you were 16th overall in the gravel race.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. And then Mid-South, you raced Mid-South.
Yep.
How'd that go for you?
It was fun. Again, it was, Bobby is a good friend, and that's, kind of like Unbound. It's an annual cannot miss, so showed up there, and it was just fun to be in the race and slice and dice. And that's the thing is, with my goodbye tour, it's not so, we're seeing here, Max is having a shoe problem, but it's not about trying to win one last thing. I'm realizing as I age, like that's just, you can just keep chasing that, it is, and you might never be fulfilled. So for me, it's about enjoying the speed of the peloton while I have this residual fitness, while I can still play and slice and dice, and maybe some magic happens, maybe not, and that's honestly not the point. So it was really fun to be in Mid-South. It was really fun to be in the Traca.
How'd that Traca 360 go for you?
It was great until my stomach flipped, and that's also racing. I had been unfortunately sick, and it's busy days now, but it's really fun because I'm kind of at all these races. I am focused as more of my new role with Canyon as a team mentor, so to speak, a co-manager of this ATR team, and helping all their current pros excel even more. So the idea is I use everything I've learned over my whole career to help their riders. So this whole week before, we were reconning things, I was driving parts of the route, videoing it, looking at my past heat maps of all the Unbounds I've done with Lifetime, and seeing, I remember this mud section from this year. This is something that we need to have a asterisk next to if the rains come. So
you got a couple 2-year-olds at home now, right? Are they 2?
They're almost 4 soon.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's life changed for you as a professional cyclist, becoming a dad, how's life changed for you?
It's so great. They're so much fun, and professionally, it makes it even harder to be that pro. We're talking about the lifestyle, right? Like you realize when you can do everything right, and this is where pro gravel is now, right? It's the world tour that I knew my whole career. It's the same commitment to lifestyle, and being a present parent. When your job is your body, as an athlete, your job is your body. It's everything, your body comes first. And as anyone who's a parent knows, being a parent is not great for your health. And when you're trying to play the same game as these riders we're witnessing up front right now, you already feel like it's a bit of a losing battle. But there's other strength that comes from it too. A new resilience. And what I was hoping to explore with the XL was my new skill in sleep deprivation. So
Probably developed that skill over the last few years. Give us your perspective on some of this. We've been speculating a lot, and now we're kind of starting to see it come to life. What teams coming to gravel, you coming off being racing on the world tour, obviously knowing and understanding the dynamics probably better than anybody, what teams can bring to an event. What do you see happening? You said you're involved in coaching and mentoring the Canyon team. We're watching a pretty dominating show from the Specialized team, both on the men's and women's fields here today.
Yeah.
Tell me what you're seeing today, and then what do you see in the next 2, 3, 4 years coming from teams as they come to gravel?
Yeah, the evolution is happening. I mean, we're all witnessing gravel evolve and become a more professional discipline. It's not the alternative discipline anymore. It's a standalone next to road and mountain bike. It's its own. And in Europe, it was quite eye-opening this spring. I was actually doing the commentary at the Santoval, which is kind of the season opener over in Spain, and there was more teams brought up to the athlete announcement than there were privateers. And so the switch flipped this season. I think all the brands, and especially in Europe, I think it's just more understood. They're going to do things their way, whereas we do our things our way here stateside. And so it's more understood, and as these young pros, part of me, as the privateer guy from earlier, it's sad,
A little bit to your chagrin.
It is. But at the same time, you realize, like, why was privateering so successful in these early years? Was there wasn't the industry and the sport wasn't ready for teams. There wasn't the financial backing, there wasn't the understanding yet. And now I see it as a positive because we're having these young riders who are not crossover athletes such as myself or Keegan or Alexi or Maxwell Schmidt. We are having riders who their first foray into pro gravel racing is, into pro racing is gravel, right? We have, Nele on our team or Kobe Freeburn we just saw. And they don't have the experience of this former career to rely on. They need that team environment to really to evolve and excel, because I learned my whole World Tour career was nutritionists, team coaches, PR handlers. We had PR training, all these things that helped me succeed as a privateer. So I think this is, again, to my chagrin, it's evolving the sport in a more professional manner. The racing is changing fast. I mean, I think we're seeing it, with Keegan and Mass and Kobe right here, and what Sophia and G are doing. So it's evolving, and that's something I try to talk to our riders about is play out race scenarios. If you are in a group with two specialized, how do we mark them? And all of that. Try to anticipate.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's the one side of the team sport, which is everything kind of behind the scenes, right? We're not seeing it on the screen, but all the support, the guidance, even just having mechanics, having people to cook for you, having your travel arranged and all that stuff, and then to what happens out on the course, right? The dynamic and how it's going to change the racing out on the course.
Well, we're watching a little bit of our race here. We got a breakpoint replay brought to you by Giant and Live Bikes. A little rock in the shoe scenario going on up there for Mads Word Schmidt, having that little bit of a problem. You see him unflipping that foot. Fortunately, it was his teammate, so kind of no harm, no foul, but shaking a little rock out of his specialized shoe there and getting himself situated, pedaling with just the sock there for a minute. Hopefully not getting too much mud on the sock and dropping it back in the shoe, but no harm, no foul there for Mads Word Schmidt as he and Keegan Swenson continue to work on their lead. They've got about a minute 20 advantage over Kobe Freeburn, and it's another 7 minutes back to the next group led by Tobias Kongstad, Brendan Johnson. We've got Emil Herzog in there, Matt Beers also in that chasing group, Paul Voss, Don Suta, Cam Jones, Caleb Botcher, again, one of our wild card athletes, along with Skylar Taylor in that group, Hodney Coaster, and Toby Road, all in that chase.
It's quite an international field. I recognize a lot of those names from some Trakas and stuff.
Yeah, it's an amazing international group that we've got this year, and we were talking earlier about the age group 200s, and 57 countries represented in the age groups, and of course our lifetime Grand Prix this year with a record amount of international athletes as well. Orange Seal partners with the Lifetime Grand Prix to support a shared mission of elevating off-road cycling through performance and a deep commitment to the rider community. Beyond tire sealant, they fuel the race village with great coffee at every stop, keeping athletes and fans energized for the series' most iconic courses. Big thanks to Shimano, whose team provides neutral support for every racer before and during the Unbound Gravel. You can check them out at bike.shimano.com. Good shot of the horses running through the pasture there, enjoying a little free time out there. Hopefully a little break in the rain for that crew as they get their workout in for the day here around the rest of our Lifetime Grand Prix athletes out there. Such a beautiful section of the course out here. It's just so, I can't get over how much wide open expanse there is out there on the course, and just truly iconic. So back here with our women, and still the same old story. As you can see, they're starting to run through some of the drop riders on the men's side of the program. Our four riders still working pretty well together. I imagine later we get into the race, might start to see a little bit of a shift in tactics, but I think that's going to be pretty far off for the moment. Right now, their vested interest of just kind of all riding together as they should be at the far end of what's Open Range Road is what we call that road. So a little bit farther down that road before they make the turn. It'll kind of start to point north a little bit. You get a little bit of a long S-turn before they'll make their way back into the Matfield Green area. That's what will be coming up next here.
This is right where I came a cropper last night. And we saw it. Open Range Road is beautiful. It's twisty. There's open livestock. It's a really cool spot.
Can you give us a little perspective? We talked a little bit about, teams coming to gravel, and we've done a lot of, there's been a lot of talk about it this year. Let's talk tactics. I mean, what do you do now? You got two of the three dominants, but really four specialized riders, because they brought another rider over with a Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe rider and stuffed it in there with them. So they had four solid riders. We got two off the front. What do you think, at least for the men's race? Oh, we can talk the women's race too, because we've got two out of the four in that women's break that are specialized riders. Tell us what you're seeing and what you think they should be doing tactic-wise.
Right now, I mean, they're owning the race. It's simple. I mean, there's, of course, I think the desire to win an ego will come up later in the race, but right now it is solidify that lead, guarantee first and second. They're both, Keegan and Mess are masterclass tacticians, and Mess has that European experience to draw upon too. With the pro peloton in Europe. So I would say they are just going to keep working together. Both of these guys have some of the highest capacities in the peloton, so they're going to be just taking a faster speed all day. And when you have true cooperation, then guys with other motivations behind, it's just pure collaboration, which is the most important right now in these mid hours. This is how we saw Cam and Simone pull out their big advantage last year, is there was no hiding, there was no shortchanging pulls. And then, I would say a race as important as Unbound, they're probably going to, if they have it locked up, it'll be may the best man win in the final miles. Keegan obviously wants the Grand Prix points, and Mess is not in the Grand Prix, so he's pretty much locking down those first place points as well right now. So yeah, they just had to get rid of Kobe, and Kobe, he's an interesting prospect. He's another rider I'm mentoring via the Cliff Family Foundation. You see that Cliff Family helmet on him, and it looked like just on that steady 2-3% riser, it just kind of popped him off with just almost like a higher threshold effort. It almost feels like a pure climb when the rain comes. This mud, it just gets like a little bit. It's like riding on a sponge. You have to push more just to keep that momentum. So these flat, spongy roads start to feel like climbs, and they just kind of motored away from them in that high diesel. So,
looking at our chase group in our men's race, you see Matt Beers in there trying to figure out who the two riders he's with that got a little bit of separation. We'll try and work on that as we get back to our men's leaders coming into the area of Bazaar, the town of Bazaar, that they'll continue to point themselves north towards Cottonwood area coming up in just a few miles. So yeah, they're just coming up on the southern section here of Bazaar where they'll just continue, they'll kind of float along the edge of town, then continue north, and then do another long little S-turn to keep heading north, and they'll be on that southeasterly side of Cottonwood Falls here in just a little bit, about 3-4 miles north of this spot right now.
That chase group we just saw, Matt Beers was in there. It looks like they're almost almost 9 minutes down. So tell us what you think about the dynamics there. You've got a Matt Beers, obviously, teammate to both the guys that are off the front. Is he going to get to the front? He's got to be thinking about Grand Prix points, right? There's other riders in that group that, Brendan Johnson's up ahead of him. You've got Kobe Freeburn still hanging out there that's in the Grand Prix. So you got that dynamic of the Grand Prix points starting to matter for these guys. But then you've got Matt Beers, who doesn't want to pull a bunch of guys back up to, his teammates that are off the front, right? So it creates a little bit of an interesting dynamic, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if I were Matt, I would be telling all of them to. It's not his job. He's got 2 riders in the front. They have to pull him up, and he should be saving his bullets. He can always kind of take to keep the collaboration going. He can always take here's the train crossing.
That's that train. We drove through there the other day, and it was, the water on Thursday was about ankle deep.
Yeah.
It looked like it was going to be like, oh boy, you're going to lose yourself.
Yeah.
But it actually wasn't that bad getting under that trestle, and they'll make that left turn and kind of come back up that grade to parallel with the track before making kind of a right to get out of there.
I was out there 2 weeks ago. That thing had about a foot of literally thick, like almost knee-high mud in it. We had it all cleared out, but we were curious what would happen if it rained, and obviously it did. It looked like there's probably a foot of water, but not as much mud. They managed to ride their way through it, right?
Well, maybe the drivetrains got cleaned off now.
Yeah, I mean, when it starts getting real muddy like this, you actually aim for the puddles. Anything to just get the chain quiet. Because this dirt, it's like sandpaper.
Well, we were watching the Specialized riders early get into that first feed zone and just stop to get the power washer. Their mechanic had the pressure washer to clean off their bike. So, back on another little section of pavement here where they'll get kind of up and over the highway and get themselves resituated on the other side.
Yeah. But, what I was saying with Matt is he should just he can turn, to keep the collaboration, to keep the rest of the group going, because he does have to think about those Grand Prix points. And if you're dead weight, it really starts to create a negative headspace on the rest of the group. They start trying to, I'm not going to give them a free tow. And then you start dealing with attacks and stuff. So, the right move by Matt here would just roll through, but get out of the way.
Yeah, a simple through and off, and just doesn't have to be a lot of pressure on the pedals, but and if nothing else too, it'll keep the other riders from trying to attack and get rid of them.
Totally.
Not that they're necessarily going to get rid of them, but then you're just dealing with all those accelerations, which that's no fun when you're just past the halfway point. You still got a couple hours to go. There's no need to kind of deal with that headache just yet. So we'll see. Again, we'll see who's in that chasing group. But again, Madsworth Schmidt just kind of riding the front here. Keegan Swenson on it, and so Mads doesn't spend a ton of time in the U.S. What's the, you spent a lot of time racing the European gravel. What's the major difference that is the challenge here for riders like Mads with the courses in Europe and the terrain versus what we're seeing specifically here?
I mean, obviously it's just, the experience with the mud. So in Europe, the peanut butter mud doesn't really exist like this, So the biggest thing they fear, and obviously he's dealt with it well today, is just is if they had a mudder. That's it just throws everything out the window. But it's just generally the European races. It's the cool thing about gravel is it compared to road cycling per se is a road anywhere, right?
Sure.
I mean, there's different vistas, but switchback is a switchback.
Pavement is pavement.
Now we're talking dirt composition, the dirt makeup, the infrastructure, and it's Kansas, the Midwest. It's these very long, straight, unmaintained roads. And in Europe, it's much tighter networks of populations, right? So their courses kind of are more circuitous. Like the Traca, for example, feels like a 200 or a 360 kilometer cyclocross race and you do pass through more little towns along the way. So I think the European races in general are more technical. much more bike handling specific. Pack dynamics come into the fray with how you move and how you handle yourself in a pack, like a road race a bit. Whereas the U.S. is a much more kind of fitness contest.
Well, we're coming up shortly on one of our brand new MMR sections to this year's race, W Road. So we're going to check out what we can expect to encounter when our riders get to that feature. W Road comes at about 130 miles in, and it is a brand new, never-used section here at Unbound. It's a true MMR, and some of the locals jokingly refer to it as a no-maintenance road versus an MMR, as it's nearly a grass path. There's one creek crossing which will almost always be fairly wet to some degree, so absolutely, if we get a lot of rain, it is going to be an incredibly muddy section. And that final 100 yards of this roughly 1 mile section has some huge slabs and chunky rocks to navigate. Great little bit of insight there onto W Road as we're back with our leaders coming into that Cottonwood Falls area. So, about 120 odd miles into the race, still 80, 85 or so miles to go. So at their current pace, a little under 23 miles an hour. You know, we're still looking at about 2.5 hours or so yet for our race. So, you know, again, all that talk of if we were here Tuesday and Wednesday, we were talking about, record pace. This might be the fastest Unbound ever because, you know, 9,000 feet of elevation, a little less than what we normally would have for the 200 miles. And, you know, getting out there, and the roads, so many of them were practically like concrete. And, yeah, up until, I mean, honestly, probably up until yesterday morning, the talk was a high expectation of seeing record times on both the men's and the women's side. But that's all gone out the window. I mean, we're talking about the XL and Rob Britton's time last year. We're hours, you know, we're going to be hours past that. And it's going to be the same trend here for our men and women.
Well, here we have Cam Jones.
Yeah, I think Cam had been with Matt Beers in now. No, maybe not. So Cam in this slightly smaller group.
Chasing back. Yeah, there's group falling a little bit.
Yeah, there's Matt. Matt is in this group there.
Paul Voss, German champion.
Paul Voss, there's having a great ride. There's Neil Herzog, the poor ride brought in specifically to help out the specialized crew. So now he's kind of taking a look over his shoulder there to see where Matt is.
Yeah, we just got to check. Toby Freeman made it through that tunnel that we saw that was full of water a little bit earlier. Came through. It's hard to believe. Matt Egan put almost 4.5 minutes to him by the time they got to that tunnel. So the time they dropped about 5 miles outside of Bazaar, or about 8 miles outside of Bazaar, they put about, it looks like they put almost 5 minutes into him. I don't know if he's having either just a complete meltdown or he's having some mechanical issues, but boy, they gapped him and it looks like 4:33 going through that time check.
I would argue he's still having a good day. It's just look at the two riders he's losing time to, right? I mean, you can't not expect that. To me, the question now is, and it almost comes back to tactics. You know, you're losing that kind of time. You've got a bigger chase group behind you. Do you say, you know what, I'm going to soft pedal a little bit, allow myself to recover for 10, 15 minutes, let that group catch me, and then kind of hit the reset button for the last part of the race?
Yeah, and, you know, he comes from mountain bike, too. So this is, I believe this might be his first Unbound 200. So he's a little bit of fish out of water in terms of the ultra endurance department. But yeah, it's so hard to know. Like, again, when the mud happens, just everything is thrown out the window. Even if you get pop-up notifications on your GPS, for example, you can't even read them. So, you know, he probably has no idea what's going on. Yes, I would agree it'd be super smart to just kind of take a moment and recalibrate, because he's got a long way. And if the wind is holding steady too, I mean, at the Canadian team, we were talking the whole final hours we're going to be kind of head crosswind, so it's slower coming in.
And that's already obviously the hardest part of the race when you get past Cahola Lake and on the way to Americas and it gets flat, you smacked by the wind.
Yeah, so that chase group that we've seen back there, Tobias, Cam Jones, Brendan Johnson, Emil Herzog, Paul Voss, and Matt Beers just went through that tunnel. They've got about 8.5 minutes. This lead group, Keegan and Mads have about 8.5 minutes on that chasing group. It's just it's unbelievable. It looks like Kobe's kind of stuck in between. I'm with you. I think he has no idea how far back they are, right? How would he know, right? He was with them coming through that last aid station, and so no one would have given him a time split then. And he's since been dropped, and he's in no man's land, floating out there in between. That's just a tough place to be, right?
You know what? But kudos for him as being the only one who could go with those two specialized riders. I mean, he's showing so much potential. I mean, he's for what he can do in the rest of the Grand Prix when we start getting to more of the technical stuff at the end of the season. I mean, he's got so much potential in the series.
We mentioned earlier he won the Silver Rush 50 up at Leadville last year, so that's a pretty technical, rough, high altitude. Obviously high altitude. He comes from Durango, so we know he can ride at altitude. One of the challenges we've had with Leadville the last few years, we just haven't had anybody that could compete with Keegan at altitude, right? And so here's a kid, comes out of Durango, goes up to Silver Rush and smokes everybody at the Silver Rush 50, which some people argue is harder than the Leadville 100.
More elevation per mile up there, right? It's the most elevation per mile than any event in the portfolio here for Lifetime. Wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and he comes out there and he wins that last year. So he could be someone with a little bit of fitness between now and Leadville. He may be a contender and someone to challenge Keegan finally.
Yeah, Keegan is just he's got the ace in the hole with Leadville. He's got a bit of a genetic anomaly when it comes to altitude. That's he doesn't have the same power drop as your traditional population. So it's actually don't get me wrong, it's the hardest effort you can do all year, but it's easier for him to win Leadville than at sea level, for example, or a sea level race. So yeah, we're waiting to see someone who can compete with him at 10,000 feet. I know Braden Lang is pretty locked in, the American champ. I saw a funny video at aid station 1 of Braden just getting power washed, his whole body. I mean, we got to keep our stars and stripes clean,
Like that flag, right? It's pride, matter of pride.
But Kobe's also a good prospect, and I was hearing you guys talk about Matthew's weight loss, and I saw it too. It's just more lines in the face. He looks so lean. So
he does. Yeah. He said he made a conscious effort, to do that because he knew for some of these races it was a big factor, right? He's a bigger guy. He's got amazing power, world tour power under the hood, but just those few pounds, especially in these races, they don't have a race like this. Not necessarily a ton of elevation when you stretch out over 200 miles, but when it's constant up and down. Every little bit matters 100%.
We just saw the front of the race there. We went back to Mads and Keegan, and it's interesting. Each time we've looked at them lately, Mads is the guy on the front. He actually looks like, in his pedal stroke to me, looks like he's hardly working. I mean, he's just effortless on the front. Keegan seems to be sitting on, but you see him rocking a little bit more on the bike, and maybe it's just his normal style, but you just watch him. Keegan's working harder than, to me, it looks as though Keegan's working harder than Mads, but Mads is the guy pulling the whole time. So why do you think Keegan's not, do you think he just can't pull around, or do you think Mads is just not riding a smart race? He's sitting there on the front.
No, I mean, Mads is, he's a brilliant tactician. I mean, this guy has been world champion on the road in the under-23 time trial. He's won stages of the Dauphiné. I mean, he's an A-lister World Tour rider who caught the gravel bug. So, I think Keegan's style is generally more rocky, but I'm with you. When I see the body language, there's subtle things that as a experienced pro you can try to hide, and he just looks good and in control. And I mean, what we saw him do at Traca solo for hours and just put time into anyone, I think Mess is looking good. And he's also had a killer spring. I mean, I think he might be undefeated right now in all the biggest races across Europe. And Keegan has had a difficult buildup. He booted Traca after his fractured hip to just train and prepare, and he's obviously done his homework. But here they're having a little conversation too. But you know, he's still on the upward trend. And gave a little fist knocks there.
Yeah,
so.
a little fist bump there. So yeah, you kind of wonder what the content of that conversation was right there. I mean, maybe Mad's going to adjust the pace a little bit for Keegan, just bring it back down a bit because they've gotten a lot of daylight, so they can afford to come off the gas pedal a little bit. You know, they're not
Peace out.
still trying
1
to
stage to
establish
go.
that gap. So kind of no